Hi, I'm Paul Keoghan from GK Tuition, and in this video I want to talk to you about algebra. Now the question I'm going through here is 2017 paper 1 question 4. In this question we're given the linear equation 11x minus 5 times 2x minus 1 equals 3 times 6 minus x plus 3. We're asked to find the value of x. So you need to realise that at the start here the immediate problem is the fractions. So I need to multiply minus 5 by 2x and I get minus 10x. Minus 5 by minus 1 gives me plus 5. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times minus x is minus 3x. What I did on this line then was I decided I need all my x's on one side, all the numbers on the other side. So since there was a minus 3x on the right, I added 3x to both sides, and now the left hand side is 11x minus 10x plus 3x. At the same time, I tried to get rid of my plus 5. So what I needed to do was subtract 5 from both sides, and I ended up with a minus 5 on the right hand side. 11x minus 10x plus 3x is 4x. 18 plus 3 minus 5 is 16. So 4x is equal to 16. We just divide both sides by 4, and our final answer there is x is equal to 4. In the second part of this question, we're given two equations with two unknowns, and we're asked to solve the simultaneous equation. Now obviously the problem here is that the second equation has an x squared and a y squared in it, which means the only way to solve this simultaneous equation is by substitution. So what you need to do first is you need to go to the simpler equation, or in other words the equation that has no squares in it. And you need to get either x on its own or y on its own. In this case, the easiest thing to do is take the top equation and try to isolate y. So I want to have only a y on the left hand side, which means I'm trying to get rid of the plus 5 on the left, so I want to subtract 5 from both sides. If I rearrange it, I can just say that y is equal to 2x minus 5. So all I've done there is I've subtracted 5 from both sides, and now I've isolated my y. Once you've isolated one of the letters, now we need to concern ourselves with the other equation. The other equation is x squared plus y squared equals 25. And what I want to do is, everywhere there's a y, I'm going to sub in 2x minus 5. So this is my substitution step. I'm going to rewrite the first term exactly as it is. I'm going to rewrite the last term exactly as it is. But instead of y squared, instead of the y, I'm going to sub in 2x minus 5. So that becomes, instead of y squared, it's just 2x minus 5 to be squared. Now this is progress, because now all of a sudden I've got one equation and I've got only one unknown. So I can use this equation to find the values of x. Obviously it's a bit trickier here because it's 2x minus 5 squared, which means we should do this out in our rough work. It's 2x minus 5 multiplied by 2x minus 5. In order to multiply out double brackets, it's the first thing in the first bracket by the second bracket. So in this case, the first thing in the first bracket is 2x. You multiply that by the second bracket, which is 2x minus 5. Then the second thing in the first bracket is minus 5, and you multiply that by the second bracket, which is 2x minus 5. Now if I multiply this out, 2x multiplied by 2x gives me 4x squared. 2x multiplied by minus 5 gives me minus 10x. Minus 5 multiplied by 2x is minus 10x. And minus 5 multiplied by minus 5 is plus 25. I can simplify this further by just grouping my like terms. Sorry, that should be an x. That's 2x by 2x is 4x squared. 2x by minus 5 is minus 10x. Now I can simplify this further by grouping my two middle terms. So this just becomes 4x squared minus 10x is minus 20x. And then I've got a plus 25. So in other words, 2x minus 5 squared, 2x minus 5 by 2x minus 5 simplifies down to 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. With that in mind, we can revisit this equation. In this equation, the first term is just an x squared. The second term, instead of 2x minus 5 to be squared, I've simplified it. I now know that that's just plus 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. And I can say that that is equal to 25. Now we can take it from here. We have an x squared, we have an x, and we have a number which means that we can just solve this. It looks like a quadratic equation, so we're going to bring everything to one side and factorize it. So I'm going to do this now on the next. I'm going to wipe this off and do it on the next board. I want you to just make sure you're clear on it. You've been given two different equations, and one of the equations has squares in it, which means you take the other equation and you isolate either the x or the y. I decided in this case that the easiest way to do it was to isolate the y. Rearrange the first equation as y equals 2x minus 5. What we do once we've isolated one of the letters, we use substitution and we sub into the other equation. The other equation was x squared plus y squared equals 25. So I leave the x squared as it is, except instead of a y, I'm going to sub in 2x minus 5. So instead of x squared plus y squared equals 25, it's x squared plus 2x minus 5 squared equals 25. Then you've one equation and one unknown, which means we can solve for x. So the difficult bit, 2x minus 5 to be squared, you're better off to do it in the rough work here, and it ends up as 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. So when you plug all that in, I'm now just going to group all my like terms and factorize. Okay, so where we left off, we were at this point. All I've done on the next line is 1x squared plus 4x squared gives me 5x squared. And I wanted to leave a 0 just on the right hand side, so I need to subtract 25 from both sides, which means I get the plus 25 was already there, but I now have a minus 25. Plus 25 minus 25 will cancel, which means you actually just end up with 5x squared minus 20x equals 0. In order to factorize this, all you can do is take out the common term. So the common term in these two is 5x. If you take out 5x into 5x squared goes x times. 5x into minus 20x goes minus 4 times. They're the factors, but obviously we need to solve this. Now in order to solve it, you need to let each bit equal to 0. So you need to let 5x equal to 0 and also let x minus 4 equal to 0. If 5x equals 0, divide both sides by 5, that means that x is equal to 0. If x minus 4 equals 0, you add 4 to both sides, that means that x is equal to plus 4. So your two values for x are 0 and 4. However, remember this is a simultaneous equation, so I need to also find values for y. So once we have our two values for x, we need to sub back in to one of our original equations to find two values for y. So let's do that now. Okay, so remember the very first equations was y plus 5 equals 2x. The first thing we did was we isolated y and we said y equals 2x minus 5. I can use this to find the values for y. In the first scenario, I know that x is equal to 0. So if x is equal to 0, we just sub it in. That means that y works out as 2 times 0 minus 5, or in other words, y equals 5. So your first scenario for y is minus 5. The other x value that we got was x is equal to 4. So what I'm doing is I'm subbing into this, and I can say that y is equal to 2 times 4 minus 5. 2 times 4 is 8, so 8 minus 5 works out as 3. So the answers there, the two answers for x are x equals 0 and x equals 4, and the two answers for y are y equals minus 5 and y equals 3. Now I hope all of that makes sense. If there's anything there you'd like me to explain differently or you need me to clarify, just let me know in class or send me an email and I'll go through it with you.